Okay, it's been started sharing my screen now so that you get it in a better way. Good. So everything related to the capital asset has been given by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India in their material in a compiled manner, which is again a very comprehensive kind of a definition. Now, if the chart is already been given to us, why would obviously we be preparing it, right? So let's go through that again. Please try to understand from a larger perspective that what that capital asset is all about. Now, why there is any need to identify whether that asset is a capital asset or not? That is point number one. There is a need because capital gains will be chargeable only if the asset qualifies to be the capital asset. Number one. So, your thinking process should start in this direction. So, first of all, try to identify that whether it is capital asset or not. So obviously, possibly you would have two answers, yes or not. If it is a capital asset, then you will have to check that whether there has been any transfer taking place or not. So is there any transfer? So obviously, again, you would have a flow chart and the possible answers would be yes or no. If it is not a capital asset only, then straight away this does not come under the purview of capital gains tax. I'm not saying that you won't have to pay the income tax on it. It could be your income related to the other sources. It could be a business profession income. It could be some other sort of an income, but not covered in the capital asset. Right? So, accordingly, whatever the provisions are there related to this particular income or transfer of any kind of an asset will be applicable, and you will have to follow those rules and regulations. But to qualify it as a capital asset, or I may say that to qualify in a capital gains tax, this has to be there. So, one is yes or no. Then you come to know that whether it's a transfer or not. So, today we will be looking at the transfer definition. If it is not a transfer, then again, even though it's a capital asset, but it cannot be called as a transfer as per the Income Tax Act, then this will also not fall under the purview of Income Tax Act 1961 as far as the capital gains provisions are concerned. I'm not saying that you won't have to pay the tax on it. Whatever the case it would be, situation to situation, you will have to understand that in which situation you will have to put which kind of a asset, what kind of a income it would be. That's entirely a different kind of a perspective. We are not going into that, but it does not fall in the purview of capital gains tax provision, right? So that's how our thinking process should be. So in any kind of a case study or in any kind of an example where you are supposed to find the capital gains, specifically if I tell you about the CA examinations, please try to identify whether the asset in question is a capital asset or not. Number two, if it is a capital asset as per the definition given by us, then try to identify whether the transfer took place or not. Now, transfer is not something that we would be assuming that whether it's a transfer or not. Some of the people would be like, sir, इसे तो transfer ही कहते हैं. नहीं, transfer must be as per the rules provided by the capital gains provisions, as per the sections of the capital gains provisions. Then only it's a transfer, otherwise not. Now, even if it is a transfer, I will not tell you that you will have to pay the capital gains. There could be some exclusions. It's a capital asset, it's a transfer, but still it might be not taxable because there are exemptions. What do we have? Exemptions. But this exemptions and all qualifies to be called as an exemption only if it satisfies these two conditions. One is the capital asset, another one is the transfer. If it is not a capital asset, there is no question of exemption at all. If it is not a transfer, again, not a question of exemption at all. If it is a capital asset and a transfer, then if it is exempted one, then again you won't be paying any tax on it. And if it is not exempted, then you will have to pay the capital gains tax on it. So this is how our process shall be. Please put this particular flow chart in the back of your mind whenever you will be solving the capital gains problems. Right? So you have understood the flow. Capital asset, transfer. If both the conditions are satisfied, then try to understand whether exempted or not. Till now, is everyone clear? May I have a chotu sa confirmation, please, from all of you? Good. Just put me this in a charger. Give me a 1 minute, please. Now my charger, I need to plug in my charger. My voice is audible or not. These are the day-to-day dialogues nowadays, but fine, we cannot survive without that. Okay, so let's understand this capital asset in a brief manner from a larger perspective. Right, so we had seen that any kind of a property held by an assessee is someone who is liable to pay the tax. Every person is not an assessee, but every assessee is a person. That person is a person from the eyes of income tax law, not from the eyes of your law, right? Sir, इसे person कहते हैं, इसे नहीं कहते, नहीं. It could be a partnership firm, it could be a number of any persons. So I'm putting the more emphasis on the word assessee here. Any property of any kind held by an assessee, whether or not connected with business or profession. So again, I'm putting the emphasis on this particular words, whether or not connected with his business and profession. So if some question comes to you and says that this particular property sold by you was not used in the business and profession, even though it was not used in the business and profession, this is not a mandatory parameter to be qualified as a property. Might be used, might not be used. Any securities held by FIIs, foreign institutional investors, which has invested in such securities as per the SEBI regulations. Now, why there is a specific need to include the investments made by the FII, foreign institutional investors? That is question number one. Can someone tell me? I would like to take your opinions on this. Why there is a specific need to include the FII, first of all? You can communicate by unmuting yourself. That would be the best way. Or you may just put something in a chat box. Some people would like say, नहीं नहीं sir, हम तो introvert हैं, हम तो chat box में ही लिखेंगे. कोई बात नहीं, you can do that. But if you communicate in a verbal mode, it would be appreciated. Anyone? Why there is a need to include this FIIs specifically? You have just put any kind of a property by any associates. Then why there is a need of including this FIIs? We have seen that. Anyone? Okay. Now this was included specifically because all the FIIs who does the investment in India, they might have the securities as a stock in trade. Now, if the securities or any kind of a property is held as a stock in trade, that means you are indulged into the business of those securities only. It's your business to deal in the security. It's a stock in trade for you. For a furniture dealer, the furniture is a stock in trade. For us, it is the asset. It's a property. So for FIIs, even though those securities are stock in trade, they would still be regarded as the capital asset in order to avoid other confusions. We do not want them to qualify to put their income earned from the securities from the Indian market in the business and profession. We want them to put it in the capital gains only. That's why we have put the specific disclosure for the FIIs. Now you can ask me, sir, what is the reason behind it? There could be n number of reasons. We are not aware about the exact reason why income tax did so. Might be they do not want to go into the complications of, finding the business income. Now calculating the business income, up to what extent you will have to pay the tax on the business income, what kind of an expenditure are allowed in the business income, what kind of an expenditures are not allowed, whether the business activity was carried in India. Now this all are the complication occurs when we charge those income in the business and profession income. That's why income tax might be of the opinion that rather than putting this income in a business and profession, let's put straight away a one tax on it, and that would be a capital gains tax. Now, capital gains tax are charged at the different rates. We are going to that, might be in this lecture, might be in the next lecture. Capital gains tax are not considered to be, you know, the to be equal to other incomes. They have the flat taxation rates. In capital gains as well, you will have to first identify whether it is a long term capital gain or a short term capital gain. We are going to see that. And for the long term and for the short term, different rates are applicable. So, straight away, any kind of an income which you are making from the capital gains would be having the flat taxation rate. So, please put it in the back of your mind. It will not be included in any other incomes. They have the flat taxation rates. Yes, certain rules are there. We'll see those rules later on. Okay, so what are the things which are not considered as a property? So first, stock in trade. We have already seen that. You people are aware about it. For some people, it might be a material, but for some people, it might be a capital asset. So for those people for whom it is a material, that means it's the day-to-day business to deal in those products. It's their day-to-day business. Then it is not included as a capital asset. Number two, personal effects. If you are using it for your personal use, or by any of your family members, it has been used for their personal purposes, then also it is not called as the capital asset. Now, some of the things might be used as a personal, but still they are excluded from the personal effects. That means even though they are used for the personal purposes, they will still be called as the capital asset. So, what are the things which might be used for the personal nature, but still they are called as the capital asset? So, we have first seen is the jewelry, then we had seen archaeological collections, then we had seen drawings, printings, and sculptures, murti, any work of art, any kind of a work which carries some monetization value, which carries some money value, economic value, which can be sold to another person, which has the value in market, which is also considered to be the work of art as well, and you get some money on it. Even though this has been used for the personal purposes, they will still be recorded as the capital asset. You will have to pay the tax on it as per the capital gains tax provisions. Right? So these are the exclusions of the personal effects. So what do we mean by the exclusion of the capital asset? That means it's the inclusion. Exclusion of the exclusion is the inclusion. Some people would be like, sir, इतना ज्यादा complicated क्यों किया इन लोगों ने इतना कॉम्प्लिकेटेड नहीं किया है, लेकिन लूप होल से बचने के लिए कुछ ऐसे सिस्टम्स बनानी पड़ती है, वरना हम तो सब शाणे लोग हैं, यूं तुरंत लूप होल्स फाइंड करेंगे. हाँ, लोगों ने वैसा भी किया. कोई कोई लोगों ने क्या किया मालूम है, ज्वेलरी को फर्नीचर में डाल दिया, और फर्नीचर में डाल के फिर बोले कि फर्नीचर तो कहाँ पे टैक्सेबल है, फर्नीचर के अंदर ज्वेलरी है, तो ये तो पूरा फर्नीचर है, मैंने सेल कर दिया, इसके ऊपर मैं टैक्स नहीं पे करूंगा. तो बेटा, फर्नीचर के अंदर जो ज्वेलरी का एलिमेंट आता है, वहां पे तुमने कोई गोल्ड वगैरह की, प्रीशियस मेटल्स की, कुछ प्रीशियस स्टोन्स वगैरह की कुछ चीजें वहां पे यूज की है, तो उसके ऊपर तुम्हें टैक्स पे करना पड़ेगा. हाँ, बाकी की जो फर्नीचर की वैल्यू होगी, वुड की और एनी काइंड ऑफ मेटल यू हैव यूज्ड इन द फर्नीचर, विल नॉट बी टेकन एज द कैपिटल असेट. because it's excluded, because it's the personal effect. But there were some precious metals used in that, and precious metals forms a part of a jewelry as per the definition of jewelry given by the capital gains, would be taxable. Rural agricultural land. Now, rural agricultural land is something which is excluded from the capital asset. That means urban agricultural land is called as the capital asset, right? So we are supposed to find that, sir, what is rural, what is urban? So we had seen the formula of, sorry, some limits of calling it as the urban and rural agricultural land. So first identify, we are talking about the agricultural land, whether rural or urban, that's a different issue. It must be the agricultural land. Some agricultural produce must be there. Some kind of a commodities must have been produced. Some kind of a things might be there, which are related to the agricultural activities. Then only you can call it an agricultural land. Otherwise not. It must be used for the agricultural purposes. And if it is rural, then it's okay. You did not pay any tax on it. But if it is urban, you will have to pay the tax on it because it would be regarded as the capital asset. So we were first finding it by applying a logic that what is the population of that town nearby that locality this particular land is situated. So if the population of the town is lesser than 10,000, then there is a no question at all. If it is more than 10,000, and if it is that land is there within the limits of the 10,000 population town, within the municipal limits of the town, it would be called as the urban agricultural land. Now it's not just that. There were certain other things given too, right? Like this. If the population is more than 10 but lesser than 1, then it's not just the land which is there in the municipal limit, but even the land which is getting covered within the 2 kilometers from the municipal limit, that will also be called as the urban land. If the population is more than 1 lakh but lesser than 10 lakh, then within the municipality limit, whatever the agricultural land is definitely covered under the urban agricultural land. But not just that. Once the municipality limit gets over, after that, within the area of 6 kilometers, all the lands which are falling, which are situated, will also be covered under the urban agricultural land. And if the population is more than 10 lakhs, take the example of Ahmedabad, then if there is any agricultural land which is there in the municipal limits of Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation, straight away that is the urban agricultural land. But not just that. Even though that land is within the 8 kilometers from the limits of Municipal Corporation of Ahmedabad, then also it will be called as the urban agricultural land. Right? So that's what we have seen. Anyone want to say something till now? Hence, few bonds and other securities were also covered. We have seen that too. So everyone, please first of all go through this chart. Once you are absolutely clear with this chart, we can move ahead further. Any problem, anything which you couldn't understand from this, let me know. Shall I move to the transfer now? All of you, chota sa confirmation from you guys, please. Good, let's move ahead. Now it has to be the transfer as well, sir. Now what do we mean by the transfer? Obviously, there is a definition given for the transfer too. Let's see that definition. Okay, the Act contains an inclusive definition of the term transfer. Accordingly, transfer in relation to capital asset includes the following types of transactions. So it's an inclusive definition. What is an inclusive definition? That means all these kind of things which are covered will only be called as a transfer Other kind of things which you feel can be called as a transfer will not be called as a transfer because only you feel that. Some people calls themselves smart, but only they people think that they are smart. So it's like, if you people feel that, sir, it can be called as a transfer, no, it cannot be. If it is a part of this definition, then only it can be called as a transfer, otherwise not. So what are the things you're getting covered? Number one, the sell, exchange or relinquishment of asset. If you are selling it, now we are using the word asset, that definitely means the capital asset, right? So once it gets qualified as a capital asset, we are saying that whether it's a transfer or not. So it must be a sale. You are selling to someone. Number two, it's an exchange. Some people would be like, no, no, sir, हम तो barter कर रहे हैं. आपने हमें घोड़ा दिया, हमने आपको गाय दे दी. तुम मुझे खून दो, मैं तुम्हें आजादी दूंगा. So if this is the barter system, then also it would be covered as a transfer. Even though there is no monetary consideration involved, but yes, you are changing something with another thing. It's a transfer. Some people are very smart. They would be calling, मैंने है ना मेरा घर दे दिया और उसके सामने गाड़ी ले ली, तो पैसे तो कुछ मिले ही नहीं. पैसे कुछ मिले नहीं तो हमें उसके ऊपर कोई टैक्स नहीं पे करना है. नहीं, it's the exchange, then also the transfer. Now, up to what extent the capital gain needs to be paid on it, that's the different question. We'll see that later on. But it's the transfer, even though it's an exchange. Yes or no? पेन के सामने बुक को एक्सचेंज कर दिया, ट्रांसफर. Or relinquishment of the asset.
Yes, sir.
Yes, please, बताइए. Wanted to say something? तो कुछ कुछ बच्चे बीच में आके फिर बंद हो जाते, पता नहीं उनको क्या हो जाता है. Wanted to say something or what? Someone said yes, sir. Okay, no worries, fine. Relinquishment of the asset. Now, when I say relinquishment, that means you transfer the ownership. I mean, that might be for a consideration, might not be for a consideration. You have transferred it. Relinquishment of any asset. Relinquishment माने के you are just, transferring your rights of using that asset, might be with a consideration, might not be with a consideration. When I say consideration, that means some money element is involved there. Let me give you a simple example. Say someone starts using a car, and every kind of a rights related to that car are being transferred to a one person, even though the transfer hasn't taken place legally. If every rights are transferred, one person is using it, another one person is taking the benefits of the particular car. This is the relinquishment of the asset, even though any kind of a legal contract has taken place or not. That's the transfer. मेरे को मन हुआ कि मैं जयमीन भाई को गाड़ी मेरी यूज करने की दे दूं. अब जयमीन भाई के इतना ज्यादा गाड़ी के ऊपर इन्फ्लुएंस बढ़ गया कि जितना भी पैसा उस गाड़ी में से अर्न हो रहा है रेंट में से, वो सब जयमीन के पास जा रहा है. तो इफेक्टिवली ऑल द अर्निंग पावर्स रिलेटेड टू दैट कार आर ट्रांसफर्ड टू जयमीन. Though I am the legal owner on paper, it's the relinquishment of the asset. I, as a person, have given up all the rights which I were enjoying from that asset, right from earning the income from that asset to get the consideration on the sale of the asset. फिर जयमीन वहां पे नहीं अटका. जयमीन ने क्या किया, उस गाड़ी को सेल कर दिया, और सेल करने के पैसे आए वो भी किसके खाते में आए, जयमीन के खाते में आए, मेरे को कुछ नहीं. दो आई एम अ लीगल ओनर समवेयर, even though I am a legal owner on paper, documented owner, but all the rights, every kind of a addition, every kind of a deletion could be made by Mr. Jaimin. Every kind of an income rights were transferred to Jaimin. Even though I am not a legal owner, that will be taken as a transfer. I have transferred my property to Jaimin because all the rights related to those particular assets are transferred. In the similar fashion, we have the second clause as well, extinguishment of any rights therein. आपने प्रॉपर्टी के रिलेटेड कोई भी राइट्स किसी को दे दिए, देन ऑल्सो इट्स अ ट्रांसफर. प्रॉपर्टी के लिए किसके कौन से राइट्स होते हैं? सबसे पहला तो राइट है कि प्रॉपर्टी के ऊपर से जो इनकम आ रही है उसके ऊपर राइट किसका है? प्रॉपर्टी को सेल करोगे तो वो सेल के राइट किसका है? प्रॉपर्टी को सेल करने के बाद जो पैसा आएगा तो वो पैसा रिसीव करने का राइट किसका है? ये सभी राइट्स में से तुम फुल राइट्स या तो फिर पार्शियल राइट्स को भी मैं कवर करता हूं. अगर तुमने पार्शियल राइट्स भी कवर कर दिए देन ऑल्सो इट्स कॉल्ड एज द ट्रांसफर. नाउ अप टू व्हाट एक्सटेंट the income tax will be paid on it will be a different kind of a question. We'll be discussing that later on. But rights related to a property are transferred. It's the transfer of capital asset. ये सब कुछ क्यों करना पड़ा? क्योंकि हम शाणे लोग हैं. लीगल ऑनर रौनक सर है. रौनक सर इनकम टैक्स पढ़ाते थे, उनको मालूम पड़ा कि इनकम टैक्स वालों के अंदर कुछ गलती है, जयमीन को दे दिया, जयमीन सब रिसीव कर रहा है, जयमीन कैश में लेके मेरे को फिर दे देते हैं पैसा. इनकम टैक्स आके बोलेगा कि भाई सभी पावर्स अगर जयमीन के पास है तो तुम्हारा ट्रांसफर हो गया. तुम्हारा मतलब कि तुम्हारे असेट का ट्रांसफर हो गया. असेट का अगर ट्रांसफर हो गया तो तुमने कुछ कंसिडरेशन रिसीव किया होगा, उसके ऊपर तुम्हें पैसा पे करना पड़ेगा. द कंपल्सरी एक्विजिशन, द थर्ड वन. नाउ से फॉर एग्जांपल इफ गवर्नमेंट वांट्स टू build some infrastructural project, specifically this is applicable to the highways project, because when highways are built from one destination to another there would be a, you know, many pieces of land situated in between. बहुत सारे लोगों को आपको लैंड के जो बीच में आ रही है उनके पैसे देने पड़ते हैं. नाउ दिस इज द कंपल्सरी एक्विजिशन. व्हाई इट इज द कंपल्सरी एक्विजिशन? फोर्स्ड बाय द गवर्नमेंट बाय सम लॉज. तो यहाँ पे आके कोई ऐसा बोले सर कंपल्सरी एक्विजिशन हुआ तो मैंने कहाँ सेल करना था, मेरी कोई इच्छा नहीं थी सेल करने की, फिर भी मुझे टैक्स पे करना पड़ेगा. हाँ करना पड़ेगा, इवन दो इट वाज अ कंपल्सरी एक्विजिशन. if government takes something from you and it gives you some money, even though it was a compulsory mandatory one imposed on you, you were not voluntarily agreed to enter into this contract, though it will be taken as the even that will be taken as the transfer. Now sometimes people charge the money like anything on the compulsory acquisitions. There was one metro project near to Andheri. Those people who have visited Mumbai, you must be able to, you must be able to visualize that. Near to Andheri, there was one jewelry showroom in Andheri East. And some of the other things were also operating in that building. And that building was exactly on a way of that particular metro construction. Now, metro was supposed to be passed from the Andheri East and it was supposed to go to the Lokhandwala side. It cannot be stopped. And I can recall that my time, before 5 to 10 years at that time, that owner charged the money from government like anything. He was like, see, I am not just giving you my present property, I am also transferring you the future income from that property. The kind of an income which I was earning from this particular property for all this number of years was anything. I am forgetting my right, I am foregoing my right to earn that income from the future. So you won't have to just pay me the current value of the property, even the future income which I was going to earn from this building, you will have to pay me that too. Even though it was a compulsory acquisition, but he earned like anything from that property. Sometimes the properties are valued not just from the current perspective, current valuation perspective. The current valuation might be very less, but the future earning potential which you have lost because of the transfer of the property, that also should be valued. Well, let's not go into that because that would be slightly off the track. We are right now talking about the compulsory acquisition. So compulsory acquisition by any law. Any bill is passed, your land is coming in between, your building is coming in between, and you are transferring the building. Obviously, any person who will be making some changes to the building, he would be renovating it, or he would be, taking that off from that place. You will have to first transfer the rights, and to transfer the rights, obviously they will have to pay some consideration to you. So whatever the consideration you have received will be subjected to pay the capital gains tax. Up to what extent is a different question. Right now you should not think about sir उसमें कितना टैक्स पे करना पड़ेगा, नहीं, उसके ऊपर हम अभी है ही नहीं. हम अभी किसके ऊपर है कि वो ट्रांसफर है कि नहीं, कितना करना कितना नहीं करना, up to what extent, up to what extent not, that everything will be discussed later on. Number 4, the owner of capital asset may convert the same into stock in trade of a business carried on by him. Such conversion is treated as transfer. If the owner of that capital asset starts the business of that capital asset only, that means now that capital asset will be the stock in trade. And if it is a stock in trade now, that means that capital asset is no more a capital asset. That is a stock. And if it is no more a capital asset, it's a transfer. Let me give you a very simple example again. Say, for example, if I had the jewelry, all the ladies in my family had a you know, good amount of jewelry. Suddenly, the idea got struck in my mind that now I want to open a jewelry business. Now, all the ladies who are possessing this much of jewelry were little reluctant at one time, but they all were loving me. So they were like, कोई बात नहीं रौनक, हमारी सब ज्वेलरी तुम रख लो, तुम्हें पैसा मिलने वाला है, तुम कमाने वाले हो, कोई बात नहीं. Up till now, that was a capital asset for me. If I would have sold those jewelry and would have received some income, capital gains tax would have been paid by me. But now I have taken up all this jewelry in my business and profession, because now I have entered into the profession of jewelry. And if I'll be selling the jewelry as a business income now, that means the effective transfer has taken place. That capital asset is no more a capital asset. And if that capital asset is no more a capital asset, it's the transfer. Is it clear? Then it comes the fifth one, the maturity or redemption of zero coupon bond. Now, see, zero coupon bond is something you do not generally transfer that zero coupon bond to someone once the life of that bond is over. Now, before I go into that transfer, you must have the basic idea about the zero coupon bond, how the zero coupon bond looks like. Now, as the name itself suggests, it's the zero coupon. Sir, what is zero coupon? That means coupon mane ke interest. It's the zero interest bond. You do not get any interest on it. Then some people would be like, sir, तो फिर क्या फायदा हुआ उसमें इन्वेस्ट करने का? फायदा है, because generally you invest in the zero coupon bonds at the discounting rates. Say for example, you are investing at 75, and at that maturity you get 100. That means you gain something out of it. You are not getting any interest, agreed. There is no additional flow of income from the zero coupon bond, agreed. But you have taken it at a very discounting rate, and you are transferring that at some maturity amount, and you have earned some capital gain out of it. This redemption of zero coupon bond is called as a transfer, though there is no party involved. See, you are not transferring that zero coupon bond to someone. That tells you that when it comes to zero coupon bond, another party is not required at all. When you transfer the share, at that time you are selling the share to someone, right? Even though you are not aware about the person to whom you are selling that, but it's a two-party transaction, even though exchange plays a crucial role in between. But there are two parties. But when it comes to the maturity of the zero coupon bond, that means that zero coupon bond will cease to exist. There is no second party involved. You are not selling it to someone. You are just receiving the maturity amount. Still, it is called as the transfer. So for this, two-party arrangement is not required. Is it clear? Now, you are not supposed to pay the tax on this 25. Huh? Do not take it like this. There has to be some calculations for the capital gains. There are certain indexation benefits given too. If one person had invested 1 lakh rupees in 1990 and that 1 lakh rupees is right now 1 crore of rupees in 2020, because 1 lakh rupees of 1990 was too much. Obviously, you cannot take 1 lakh rupees as a cost of 1990 and you would be like, तो 99 lakh के ऊपर टैक्स पे कर दो, तुम्हें इतना है ना प्रॉफिट हुआ है. नहीं, you need to apply some inflation adjustment. We will see that later on. So please do not take it that 25 rupees के ऊपर टैक्स पे करना है. नहीं, this 75 is not equal to 75 of today. Money is losing its spine over a period of time. The purchasing power is continuously reducing. If you will be purchasing this 75 rupees of asset right now, probably you might have to pay 90 rupees at the inflated rate. So it's not the actual cost you take into consideration. We will see those provisions later on. I'm just explaining this to you. But it is called as the transfer. Right? Okay. Let's move ahead. Fifth, sixth one, the part performance of the contract. Sometimes possession of an immobile property is given in consideration of part performance of contract. Now, Contract Act, you people have studied. You people might just be having the idea about the part performance too. Say your consideration amount which you pay is divided into various parts. Even though it's a part performance of the contract, then also it will be called as a transfer. Because say for example, if I enters into an agreement with, say for example, Miss Divya, I transfer a land to Miss Divya, and Divya will be able to start, and we both are, say, the farmers, not protesting right now, but say the farmers. See, I'm transferring the right of using this land to Divya, and Divya would be able to use this land only after 2 months. In this 2 month, Divya will have to pay me 20% of my contract money. Say for example, if I had sold that land at 1 crore, then if first Divya need to submit me 20 lakhs rupees, then only she can start using this land for her agricultural purposes. Now, I might be having any kind of a terms with Divya, right? That depends on the kind of a agreement and contract that we both have entered up to. 30% of the money I may take after a 1 year. Rest 50% of the money I may take from her after 2 years. Now, whatever the consideration would be, in whatever the intervals you will be paying the consideration, that is a different matter. At what time you will be paying the consideration, different matter. But Divya has effectively got the right to use that land just in 2 months. So here in this case, only 20% of the money of the consideration is been paid by Divya. Still, it will be called as the transfer, even though it's just as the part performance of the contract. We might be having any kind of a terms, 50, 40%, whatever the percentage I would be receiving at whatever the time, that's it. but effectively the rights to start the agricultural activities has been transferred. Divya has started earning the income from it, and I have also given her a right to get the income from it. So now there would be a question that, sir, on 20% the income tax needs to be charged, or on the total amount of value of the land the income tax needs to be charged, at what particular year it should be charged. This everything will take care when we will be dealing with the part performance of the contract in the detailed manner. But from this, at least you should understand the concept of it, because I do not want to go into the technicalities of calculation of the income tax when there is a part performance. That itself is a different topic, takes the entire lecture. We'll see that later on. Okay, so that's how it is. Okay, and number 7, lastly, there are certain types of transactions which have the effect of transferring or enabling the enjoyment of immovable property. If I give you some of the examples of the cooperative society, now what happens that if you are a person of if you are a member of one of the association of persons or a cooperative society, after a completion of some number of services in that association of person, AOP, they give you say a real estate unit. Now you would be able to use that real estate unit just because you have given some services to cooperative society. That would be a capital asset for you. Now, for whatever the reason you have got it, that's the different matter. Who has given to you, that's again a different matter. Cooperative society or a company or any association of person has transferred a real estate unit, a house or a flat or anything is been given to you, that will be considered as the transfer. If you are working as an employee somewhere, say in a Reliance Industries Limited, and you get something out of it, the entire asset has been transferred to you because you were very loyal to the management, you have done very hard work, you lived up to the expectations of the people. That capital asset is permanently transferred to you out of योर सैलरी अरेंजमेंट्स. सैलरी के जो कॉस्ट टू कंपनी का था उसके अंदर नहीं, उसके अलावा आपको कुछ बेनिफिट्स दिए हुए हैं. नाउ एवरी राइट्स रिलेटेड टू दैट असेट इज ट्रांसफर्ड टू यू, will be called as a transfer for the person. For whom? The person who is transferring it. Who is transferring it? Obviously, sir, Reliance Industries Limited is transferring it to you. So whatever the arrangement it would be, if you are receiving it, and if some person has given the effective all kind of rights related to that property to you, then it's the transfer. अब लीगल ओनरशिप किसी की हो, कई बार क्या होता है कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी में लीगल ओनरशिप वो कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी की ही रहती, लेकिन आप उसमें मेंबर बनते हो तो आपके पास एक पर्टिकुलर ये हाउसिंग कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटीज में क्या रहता है कि ओनरशिप इफेक्टिवली वो हाउसिंग कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी की रहती है, आप वहां पे मेंबर बनते हो. इफेक्टिवली जब आप वहां का कोई यूनिट सेल करते हो किसी को, तो आप रियल एस्टेट को सेल नहीं करते, आप वो मेंबरशिप को सेल करते हो. आपने किसी को मेंबरशिप सेल कर दी, नाउ दैट फेलो वुड बी अ मेंबर ऑफ पर्टिकुलर हाउसिंग सोसाइटी. तो मेंबरशिप ट्रांसफर किया तो ऑब्वियसली एवरी राइट रिलेटेड टू द असेट इज बीन ट्रांसफर्ड टू दैट फेलो, considered as a transfer. Is it clear, everyone? Okay, so let's discuss this in a rapid fire manner. What we have seen today, we have understood the definition of transfer in the detailed manner. Number 1 is the sell, or it can be a barter. You are exchanging one thing with another thing, can be called as a transfer. Relinquishment of the asset, you are transferring it without any consideration. So that means whether you get the consideration in a money or not, that's not required. The consideration might be something else too. Anyway, we'll see that how to calculate the tax on it. That's gonna be the a different question. We'll see that later on. Extinguishment of any rights therein. If you are foregoing any rights, if you are transferring some of the rights related to a particular asset, the rights might be related to enjoying that asset. The right might be related to getting the earning from that asset. The rights might be related to selling those assets. Any kind of rights which you are transferring can be called as a transfer. It can be compulsory acquisition as well, enforced by the laws and regulations. If you are converting your capital asset in a stock in trade, that means you are entering into a business of dealing in the capital asset. That's again called as a transfer. The maturity of the zero coupon bond, when the number of years for which zero coupon bond is applicable is in existence, that gets over, you will be paying the tax on that too, because that's also considered as the transfer. Even though there is a part performance of the contract, you receive few percentage of the consideration, then also it will be called as a transfer. Now, when the entire sale consideration received, or whether the part has been received, at what time, what kind of a tax needs to be paid, that will be see later on. But that is considered as a transfer. Okay, so all this we have seen, and next time we will see the tax rates. We will also see what is the short term and long term capital gains. So let's build the foundation first of all very strong. And once the foundation is very strong, now we'll be able to calculate the income tax from capital gains like anything. So right now, my focus is on building the foundation, the great foundation, which cannot be shaken by any kind of an earthquakes or tornadoes. Okay, please put your attendance enrollment number in the chat box. That's it from my side. Thank you very much. Bye bye. Take care. Sayonara. Enjoy your rest of the day.